Good afternoon, as per IST, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Conference and Members Meeting organized by ARSS's conference in association with IRAJ, ACN, SARC, WRFER, SCIENCEGLOBE, and ASER. On behalf of entire organizing committee, Mr. Ravi Kumar, organizing secretary, would like to welcome you all for this conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce about this organization, that is ARSSS. That the motto behind this non-profit organization is to bridge the gap between students, professors, academicians, and industrialists, and other multidisciplinaries. So apart from organizing seminars, expert talk, conferences, we are organizing various physical international conferences across the globe: India, New York, London, and almost all major countries. And we have like more than 1 lakh plus people associated with us, and more than 50,000 plus journals published with us. So this is like this is about the organization. Today, I'm glad to welcome you all for this conference on multidisciplinaries. So in this platform, we have a good opportunity to interact with people basically and understand about the research, interdisciplinary research, what's happening in another field. So with this, let us just quickly start up with the presentation session. As we have like 30 plus participants for the day, I will quickly go ahead and invite the first participant for the day and then start the session. And for the question and answer session, as there is a as we have 30 participants, we will be just restricting ourselves for maximum of time limit per participant 8 minutes, and question and answers we would like to take it offline in the chat box and through emails. So once the presentation is done, right, that there will be the presenter will be sharing the email ID of his in the chat box, right? The participants who are the delegates who would like to interact can interact with the person, right? It would be a good montage with you people, and then understand and take the research forward in the global level, right? With this, I would like to first call upon the participants. Thomas, the platform is yours. Please share the screen and start with the first presentation.
Thank you very much, Prof. Kumar. I would like to speak about smart household appliances, and I would like to speak about the criteria that influence the resistance against smart household appliances or the adoption of smart household appliances. So a little bit about the objective, the methodology, some literature review, and of course the empirical results. So the problem that we can face in very many European countries is that the acceptance of smart household appliances is lower than predicted. So for example, smart TVs, or in our case, we took the example of a smart fridge of an intelligent fridge. And the question now is, what are the reasons that influence the adoption, and what are the reasons that influence the resistance against these products? So a little definition about smart household appliances. So as said, in our case, in our research, we spoke about a smart fridge. A smart fridge that is a fridge which is connected to the internet and that is able, for example, to communicate with the people who use the fridge, that is also able to communicate with other internet devices, that is intelligent as far as the content of the fridge is concerned, and things like this. So, and we asked ourselves, okay, which are the criteria that influence resistance and adoption? And so within the literature review, we found different areas of criteria. So first, of personal criteria. So we are speaking about, of course, about persons. So we could group them into 3 groups. So innovation characteristics. So what about the perceived usefulness, the novelty, etc. Consumer characteristics, privacy concerns, do they feel dependence? How self-efficacy do they feel? And of course, the risk. So is there a social risk involved or any security risk? And some personality constructs. So how innovative is the person generally, or does the person have some nostalgic feelings? And so we operationalized these constructs based on the literature. And of course, we would like to know how do these constructs influence the resistance and the adoptions. So we did this study in 2 countries. We also analyzed the differences between the countries, which I will report here. So as target population, we had the South African population and Germany, 18 plus. So we used a company, we did online interviews helping us with the recruitments. We did basically a quota sample, and we had 690 South Africans and 974 German participants. So what you can see here, we started with our theoretical constructs like the intrusiveness, the innovativeness, etc. And what we did, we had a 2-step approach to measure the reliability and the validity. So first of all, what we did was a confirmatory factor analysis to find out if we really measure the right constructs. And you can see here the KMO with 0.93 is quite good. The same with the Bartlett's test. That is the final result. Within our process, we had to eliminate 2 of the constructs here, and that is the result where the 2 constructs already were eliminated. So that here is just a quick overview about as the reliability measure at the Cronbach's alpha and of the means of the different. You see here that is from 1 do not agree, doesn't apply, to 7 totally agree. And we see here that most of the respondents that they see the smart fridge as being useful, as being novel, but also as being high priced and as being not intrusive. But they had concerns about, of course, the privacy and the security. And somehow we see here some people that had slightly nostalgic somewhere in the middle. So what we did then, we did a multiple regression analysis. We had 1 variable for the adoption, and we had another variable for the resistance. And that here shows the results of the multiple regression analysis. We see here the R-square is not the best one in the world, but can be accepted. And we see here that apart from the security risk, all the regressors that they had a significant influence. So what we can see is, if you look ahead at all beta values, that we see here the negative influence, of course, of the intrusiveness, the self-efficiency, and of the perceived novelty. The most substantial positive influence were identified by the person's spirit of innovation and the novelty. So these were the criteria that influenced the adoption. And on the other hand, we also had a look with the same type of analysis, with the multiple regression analysis, regarding the criteria that influence the resistance. And we can see here, except from the social risk, all the factors that also showed significant or highly significant results. And similar to the adoption, so the most substantial influence can be found here by the intrusiveness and by the perceived uselessness. Whereas social risk, price, and nostalgia showed much lower levels. And of course, in the same as with the adoption, the personal spirit of the personal spirit of innovation and the perceived novelty, so they have got the most substantial adverse influence. So I think that's quite clear. The higher my spirit of innovation, the less resistance I will show. So conclusions and recommendation from that. So we definitely found that adoption and resistance are definitely two different constructs. And when it comes to the resistance, the most influential factors are the intrusiveness and of course how the consumer perceives the usefulness and whether he regards it as being novel or new on the one hand side. Whereas the adoption, of course, and I think that's not surprising, is also influenced by intrusiveness and of course the usefulness. Yeah. Good. Some recommendations for the industry. I think the most important ones are here, that they should try to limit really the intrusiveness of the technological innovations. So many customers, they had that feeling, so they need to become more comfortable with it. And at the moment, the price is too high, so they need to create a balance between the perceived uselessness, with some people still do perceive the price, and the novelty. A very important thing is make sure that the customers, that they really get the feeling that their privacy is protected, and that they don't feel the risk that some of the data that they exchange with the smart fridge might come into other hands. Good. So that's the basic in a nutshell within 10 minutes. And yeah, as far as I got it, I will now share my email address in the chat. And yeah, then looking for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Thomas, for your wonderful presentation. And yeah, exact 10 minutes. Wonderful. Yeah. So in brief, I just wanted to know the implementations of your like, what are the challenges you face with respect to implementation of real-time applications?
Pardon? In face of the
real-time application and for your project, what are the if you want to implement it?
Okay, yeah. So at the moment, what we do, so we are in contact with two levels. The one level that we are in contact with is the retailers level. So to give some assistance for the people who sell those smart household appliances, that's the one thing. And the second thing is that project was partly sponsored by Bosch Siemens household appliances. So they are on the South African market and on the German market. And now we are not speaking with the developers of the fridge, but we are speaking with the marketing departments. And so they were quite interested in the results. Of course, we had to split the results between the two countries and see what they can, how they can address the target group in a better way.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful work. Hope to see those things in limelight and all. Wonderful, good work you have done. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. We'll now go ahead with the next presenter. I'm not sure if he's there present. Lauren Nasser. Mr. Lauren Nasser, do we have him?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, hi, please, yeah, share your presence. Yeah, we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Okay. Right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Nasser, and I'm a PhD candidate at Tel Aviv University. Today, I will be speaking to you about Aristotelian rhetoric's prevailing presence in contemporary literature. Okay. So, the story of rhetoric. The origin of rhetoric, a tale as old as classical times, has always been associated with the pre-Socratic ancient Greek sophists circa 600 BC. The term rhetoric is believed to have been coined during the lifetime of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, close to the end of the 5th century BC. And it was taught as the art of oratory persuasion, particularly in political discourse. Aristotle published his work Rhetoric, persisting to teach his own understanding of this concept. And he defines it as the faculty of discovering in the particular case the available means of persuasion. This application can be seen in both the spoken and written word, yet today we will be focusing on the written word, and we will be adopting Aristotle's definition for the remainder of this talk. Aristotle introduces 3 modes of persuasion: pathos, ethos, and logos. I will briefly introduce each of the terms. According to Aristotle, pathos is putting the hearer into an appropriate frame of mind. We see here in this mode that the focus is on the reader, or more particularly on the emotional response of the reader. Aristotle states that persuasion occurs by means of the hearers and readers, and when they are aroused to emotion by the speech, for the judgments we deliver are not the same when we are influenced by joy or sorrow, love or hate. Next, we have ethos, and by moving from logos to ethos, we are essentially making a shift from focusing on the character of the readers onto the character of the speaker or the writer. And we here are aiming to test the credibility or reliability of the speaker. Aristotle's definition of ethos is the writer persuades by moral character when the speech is delivered in such a manner as to render him worthy of confidence, for we trust such persons to a greater degree and more readily. And finally, we have logos. So from focusing on the readers to focusing on the author, we now move to the argument itself. And here we have someone who's attempting to persuade by logic. We have reliance on reason, appealing to the reason of the argument itself. Persuasion is produced by arguments themselves when we establish the true or apparently true by the means of persuasion applicable to each individual case. I hope this small introduction to Aristotle will help us as we try to examine a few examples from literature or contemporary literature. My focus will be on the works of a British writer and scholar called C.S. Lewis, who's mainly known for writing the Chronicles of Narnia. But today we will be focusing on 2 other works of his. First, we have The Problem of Pain, which was published in 1940. And then we have A Grief Observed, which was published in 1961. In The Problem of Pain, Lewis offers his case for the Christian response to the problem of evil and pain. And we see him taking on a rational approach, meaning he is employing mostly logos. And then in A Grief Observed, we see Lewis expressing his thoughts following the passing of his beloved wife. And here we see him taking on an emotional approach. Let us take a look into the persuasive techniques that Lewis employs in The Problem of Pain first. Lewis opens the first chapter of his book by reciting what the problem of pain is. He says, "If God were good, he would wish to make his creatures perfectly happy. And if God were almighty, he would be able to do what he wished. But the creatures are not happy. Therefore, God lacks either goodness or power or both." Here we have a typical conditional statement or hypothetical syllogism that argues by reason that if X, if God were good, then Y, then he would wish to make people happy. And if Z, if God is almighty, then he would W, he would do what he wished. We see a clear representation of logos. Lewis's response to this kind of argument is by addressing the words omnipotence and goodness. Lewis's argument here is that the use of the word impossible when saying that nothing is impossible to God implies a suppressed clause that begins with the word unless. For example, it is impossible for me to see the street from here unless I go up the stairs, look out the window, then I'll be able to see it. He then moves on to a different kind of impossibility, and it is the absolutely impossible, or what he calls the intrinsically impossible. And he calls it so for the simple reason that it carries the impossibility within itself, as opposed to the first kind that is dependent on external factors and can be changed. He says that something that is intrinsically impossible remains impossible in all worlds and for all agents. Based on this, according to Lewis, and since all agents also includes God himself, God being omnipotent means that he has the power to do all things that are intrinsically possible and not a single thing that is intrinsically impossible. So this is the very first argument that Lewis presents. And here we see a clear focus on the flow of logic, hypothetical syllogisms, and the refrain from using any emotional language when addressing a topic such as pain and grief. Moving to a grief observed, we see a completely different approach to the problem of pain. We see Lewis directly mentioning the word pathos in the beginning of his book. He says, on the rebound, one passes into tears and pathos. And his writing style here is very different. It is descriptive, it is vulnerable, it is less coherent, filled with rhetorical questions and anecdotes. We almost get to see Lewis's thoughts unfiltered. Of his wife, he writes, "For H wasn't like that at all. Her mind was lithe and quick and muscular as a leopard. Passion and tenderness and pain were all equally unable to disarm it." This book includes numerous examples of the emotional response that Lewis had to pain, which he utilizes to have an emotional response from his readers. To conclude, I offered only a few examples of countless instances where contemporary authors rely heavily on classical rhetoric. There is a common error today of dismissing Aristotelian rhetoric as being irrelevant or outdated, as well as being ineffective in light of modern discoveries of theories on rhetoric. However, I think that there are various examples that show how effective it is today, how prevalent it is in literature still, and that even though it is, a classical rhetoric, it is found and integrated within modern theories and can be seen as the basis for many. It can actually coexist among modern theories of rhetoric. A challenge to us all is to ask ourselves, how do we ourselves utilize pathos, ethos, and logos in our everyday speech and writing? And how can we better utilize these modes of interaction with our colleagues, supervisors, fellow researchers to get our message across more effectively? In academia, there tends to be a very strict approach to logos and almost a dismissive approach towards ethos and pathos. But I argue that all three are equally effective and when used together can bring about a very promising result. My bibliography is here in case someone wants to take a quick screenshot. And thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feedback, or thoughts, I'll be leaving my email address in the comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie, for your wonderful presentation. Nice research and unique topic which we got to listen to. Thank you. Now we'll go ahead with the next presenter. People can connect with Laurie through her email address. Now I call upon Hanuman Prasad, Nuclear
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
There is a lot of disturbance.
Okay, sir. Some work is taking place around me. That's why
Okay.
it is nice. Sir, I am completely not fit, so I need your cooperation. But I am very happy with here. Sir, my I am a PhD research scholar under supervision of Professor Rajpal Budania in the Department of Political Science, University of Allahabad. Sir, I am sir my
You'll be sharing
paper.
presentation.
Okay, sir, I am sharing. Sir, am I audible? And my screen is. Are you able to look my screen, sir?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. My paper is titled "Nuclear Proliferation in Asia: Changing Patterns and Increasing Challenges." That is based on the changing patterns of the nuclear proliferation in Asia and all these whatever challenges which are continuously taking place as compared to the global challenges, global patterns of the nuclear proliferation. Sir, as we have seen that the devastation linked with the nuclear proliferation has continuously strengthened the need of the nuclear free world, but uh, but we are continuously saying that nuclear proliferation is continuously taking place in Asia. Uh, all countries, including the NPT signatory member China, is continuously proliferating their nuclear weapons. Sir, as we have seen that uh, during the Cold War rivalry, USA and USSR have signed a number of treaties, including Strategic Arms Limitation Talk, ABM Treaty, INF Treaty, START 1, and then START 2, New START Treaty. And at the global level, we have seen partial test ban treaty, NPT, CTBT, and treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, etc. Furthermore, we have also seen that a number of nuclear weapon free zones have been established in including in Latin America and Caribbean, South Pacific, Southeast Asia, Africa, and in Central Asia. And we can see that all these efforts have culminated into Mongolia's self-declared nuclear weapon-free status through United Nations General Assembly Resolution 55/33S. But we have seen that despite all these efforts, many countries have continuously strived to proliferate their nuclear weapons, not only quantitatively, but also in terms of the quality of the nuclear weapons. So we can see in this table that non-Asian nuclear weapon countries has continuously except United States has continuously decreased their nuclear arsenals. As we can see in this table, that the USA has decreased from 6,450 nuclear weapons in 2018 to the level of 5,428. Russia has also decreased its nuclear arsenals from 6,850 to 5,977 nuclear weapons. France has also decreased its nuclear weapon from 300 in 2018 to 290 in 2022. But we can see in case of the United Kingdom that it has slightly increased its nuclear weapons from the level of 215 to 225. But if we see in terms of the deployed number of deployed warheads, we can see that except Russia, all non-Asian nuclear armed states in USA, France, and the United Kingdom have either increased their deployed warheads or remain unchanged. But Russia has decreased its deployed warhead also from the level of 1600 in 2019 to 1588. So here we find that in terms of the total inventory, all non-Asian countries except United Kingdom have decreased arsenals. But in terms of the deployed warheads, USA, United Kingdom, and France have either increased their deployed warheads or remain unchanged. So here we can see that the aggression in terms of the deployed warhead is continuously taking place. More and more deployed warhead means nuclear weapons are just away from just one click away from the launch. But when we see in terms of the Asian countries, we can see that all the nuclear armed countries, including China, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea, all 5 countries have continuously increased their nuclear arsenals between 2018 and 2022. China has increased from the level of 280 nuclear weapons in 2018 to the level of 350 in 2022. China has also 350 nuclear weapons in the year 2021, but we can see that there is no progress between in terms of the number of the nuclear weapons between 2021 and 2022. But Stockholm International Peace Research Institute has highlighted that China has uh, only 350 nuclear weapons. That is the same number in 2021. But China has enhanced its nuclear launching capacity. So we can say that it has improved its nuclear attack capability qualitatively. In terms of India, India has also increased its nuclear weapon from the level of 130 to 140 in 2080 to the level of 160 in 2022. Similarly, India's hostile neighbor Pakistan has increased its number of nuclear weapons in 2018, that is 140 to 150 to the level of 165 in 2021 and 22. Israel has also increased from the level of 80 in 2018 to the 90 in 2022. North Korea, which has only 10 to 20 nuclear weapon grade fissile material in 2018, has also increased its nuclear weapon, and in year 2022 it has 20 already assembled nuclear weapons plus 45 to 55 plus the already nuclear weapon grade fissile material for 45 to 55 nuclear weapons. So we can see that all the Asian nuclear armed countries have continuously increased their nuclear arsenal despite the fact that a number of treaties have been signed at the global level. So the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that is SIPRI, has highlighted in its annual report of 2022 that although we have seen at a global level that the number of the nuclear weapons has declined slightly, but it is only due to the non-replacement of the retired nuclear weapons by just 2 countries, USA and Russia. So we can say that all other nuclear weapon states have not willfully embraced the global efforts of the non-proliferation and disarmament. Furthermore, we can see that not only in terms of the nuclear weapons, not only in terms of the numbers of the nuclear weapons, all Asian countries are continuously adopting the advancement in the technological advancement in the delivery vehicles, including missile system, multiple independent re-entry vehicles, unmanned air vehicles, unmanned underwater vehicles, submarine launch ballistic missiles, and AI, that is artificial intelligence enabled nuclear weapon system, etc. As we can see that China has continuously increased its delivery vehicle. It has continuously advanced its nuclear triad in its capability race with the USA, for replacing the USA with the global changes in the nuclear power matrix. China has acquired a number of missile systems, and it has continuously developed more than 300 nuclear silos for enhancing its second strike capability. Similarly, North Korea has continuously acquired more and more nuclear weapons, despite the fact that just after its withdrawal from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty in 2003, United
Prasad
Nations.
Singh, sorry for interrupting. Please try to wind it up and come to conclusions, as it is exceeding my level now.
Okay, sir. Conclude. I will try my best, sir. Sir, North Korea has continuously increased, despite the fact that a number of global sanctions have been imposed. So all these things are continuously deteriorating the nuclear proliferation issues, nuclear challenges in Asia, and one more thing, that is security dilemma which is prevailing in Asia, has also continuously deteriorating the security situation at all. As we have seen that China is continuously enhancing its nuclear capability in order to make itself compatible with the USA's capability. And that ultimately makes the security dilemma situation between among India, Pakistan, and China. And North Korea's hostility with Japan and South Korea is also continuously deteriorating the security situation in Southeast Asia. So we can see that China, which is also a NPT signatory country, has embraced the nuclear proliferation and capability race with Asia, despite the fact that NPT is continuously focusing on the global efforts for the denuclearization. In conclusion, I can conclude that all the Asian countries have willfully not embraced the denuclearization effort, and moreover, in Asia, not only in terms of quantitative nuclear proliferation, but qualitative nuclear proliferation is also taking place. All countries have continuously enhanced qualitatively their nuclear attack capability. So that is my presentation, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hanuman, for quickly winding up. I appreciate and very good research work. All the best. We see the implementations and practical applicability. Now I will just next call upon Sanchit Chauhan.
Yes, sir.
Sanchit Chauhan.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
So good afternoon, everyone present here. I am Sanchit Chauhan. I am from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth College of Engineering, Navi Mumbai, under University of Mumbai. Here I am going to explain our paper presentation. So topic for our paper is digital ordering and touchless services in the restaurant. So next slide. So our group members includes Nirmit Bansode, Praveen Bharti, myself Sanchit Chauhan, and Pranav Dole. And our project guide is Rupali Patil ma'am. Next slide. So here are some table of contents which today I am going to explain in front of you, which include introduction, literature survey, methodology, result, future scope, and some references. So first one is introduction. So in the corona pandemic, due to lockdown, every small and large businesses get adversely affected due to corona, and food industry is one of that section which get badly affected in the corona. And as the lockdown removed, still people are scared to visit the hotel due to fear of the spread of corona. To attract the people towards the restaurant and bring some automation in the system, we come up here with our own solution of dots. Next, literature survey. So here are some papers we have listed, which we have referred while developing this paper, which includes the paper of Karan Kushal Kuntu, MD Kamrul Zaman, and Nilima Mishra, and last paper was of Tetsuya Kimura and Akhar Fog Ixiri. Next one, experimental methodology. So in the digital menu card section, we have developed a website. For developing the website, we have used HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for front-end development. And for backend development, we use PHP and SQL as a language and MySQL as a database server. Next slide. So here are some responsive layout of our digital menu card. So left one is for mobile, middle one is for tablet, and the right one is for the PC or laptop. Next. So working off our project. So once the customer enters the restaurant, he or she has to scan the QR code placed on table. After scanning the QR code, they can access our digital menu card in their mobile or respective device. After accessing our digital menu card, they can order the food whichever they want. And after ordering the food, the order will receive at the backend side screen, which is placed in the kitchen area. So according to that, chef members present there will make the food, and after making the food, staff member will serve that food in the dish and put the dish on the cart or robot, which will be there for the sole purpose of delivering the food to the respective table from where they received an order. Next slide. So here are some components which we have used while developing a robot. And this is the circuit diagram which we have implemented in final working prototype of our robot. So here is a small demo of digital menu card. There is some network. Here we have to click order now button to select the item. Then enter table number, quantity, and amount, and then click order now. As you click on the order now button, the order will display at the backend side table like this, along with table number and quantity. This is the initial demo of our robot, and these are some final robots. Right one is with ESP32 cam module, where you can see where robot is actually going or approaching. And in the left hand side, it's just manual. So this is the final prototype of our robot along with group members and guide. So future scope. So this paper has a wide future scope in upcoming days, as one can add the audio processing or audio feature in the robot in order to make more customer friendly to communicate with customer. One can add IoT in the feature to remotely access the robot from their home or from remote area or remote places if it is not possible to come to physically present in the restaurant. They can add even AI or ML like system in that, so that robot can fully automated and it can automatically detect the table number and it will serve the food. Next slide. So in the conclusion, I would like to tell that the robot are the future of our generation. So this is a small step toward that, and I hope all of you like our presentation. And if you are interested, then kindly scan this QR code on your screen to access our digital media.
Good work, Sanjit.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice efforts put by you. Yeah, we see there are good, requirements like this in industries and hotel industries. And it's quite improving nowadays across Tier 2 cities, and people are liking it. But due to when the pandemic hit, few companies like this who had an opportunities and they were growing like robotic robots were serving and all, they closed because of high maintenance cost and all those things. So you need to plan for the cost perspective also.
Yes, sir.
So how is the cost and other things you have planned here?
Sir, our estimated cost for this robot is around 8 to 10,000.
Okay. So I mean, weight, carrying capacity, and other things also should be kept in mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are kept in mind all the things while developing this robot.
Good. I appreciate it. 8 to 10,000 means it's very less amount
Yes,
indeed.
very cheaper as
Yes.
compared to the already these robots which are already available in the market.
Okay, all the best. We can actually try to make it initiatives and start approaching any small organization and check how it goes. Have you tried those efforts?
No, sir, we haven't tried, but we are trying for it.
Okay. Try to implement it in some hotel and check how it goes, or maybe one part of the hotel section where they can serve through robot or something, so that we can, if it is implemented with the less cost, it will be very nice and uh, effective. Good efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I call upon Babna. We have Babna. Babna, a multi-class cardiac sound diagnostic system in deep learning. Okay. Do we have Syed Zafar?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, Syed. Please.
I share my screen now. Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes.
May I share my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So,
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Syed Zafar from the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology in New Delhi, working as a pre-doctoral fellow with Dr. Pannaga Pavanjudur in the area omics of algae. Today, I'll be presenting our research work entitled Deciphering Carotenogenesis in Microalgae, employing two-stage stress-based cultivation. As we all know that increasing carbon emissions and rising demand for energy have led to the search for zero carbon footprint renewable energy. Due to their potential of fixing 500 tons per hectare per year of atmospheric carbon dioxide and also lack of competition to food crops, microalgae have been considered as a sustainable feedstock for biofuel and other fine chemicals. Microalgae also cope up with physiological stress by synthesizing specialized bioactive phytochemicals, which are used in multiple industries. These high-value biorenewables, or HVBs for short, such as PUFAs, carotenoids, proteins, etc., can be synthesized by microalgae. Carotenoids, for example, are key carotenoid pigments present in photosynthetic organisms involved in protection against oxidative stress. Due to these strong antioxidant properties, they are extensively used in various industrial applications, and they have various properties such as anti-inflammatory, and also retinoprotective properties, which are used in cosmetic, pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and food and feed industries. Carotenoids can be classified into two categories. One is the primary carotenoids, such as beta carotene here, are involved in promoting growth, whereas secondary carotenoids such as canthaxanthin are involved in scavenging the free radical molecule. So, in microalgae, the terpenoid pathway biosynthesis starts in chloroplast via MEP pathway, which results in monomers like ITP, which can be polymerized to phytoene, the very first carotenoid, followed by a series of reactions which lead to lycopene, which is a precursor molecule that diverts in two directions, One is the alpha carotene, which leads to lutein, other is primary carotenoids. The other is beta carotene, which leads to primary carotenoids like zeaxanthin, while secondary carotenoids such as astaxanthin and canthaxanthin are synthesized by their ketogylation. The biosynthesis of these secondary carotenoids or ketocarotenoids demonstrates the onset of kerotenogenesis. However, such mechanism is only well known in few model organisms, and multiple stress-based microalgal cultivation, which lead to transition from green cellular growth stage to red cellular stage, is considered a trigger for the production of canthaxanthin and other ketocarotenoids, which are all having anti-erythrosclerotic, anti-cancer detoxifying, and even immunomodulatory activities. However, these stress conditions for canthaxanthin production are generally detrimental to microalgal growth. Thus, two-stage cultivation strategies have been employed for the production of ketocarotenoids, where the first stage enhances the biomass and the second stage subjects to nutritional stress, which leads to canthaxanthin production. Employment of a two-stage strategy for the accumulation of HVBs like canthaxanthin have various applications. Like in this picture, I'm showing the application in various food industries like fisheries, poultry, and other food additive industries. Thus, our focus here is employing two-stage cultivation strategy in a strain of the Senedesmus dimorphus on enhancing the biomass in initial stage, followed by improvement of canthaxanthin yield after subjection to nutritional stress. For this purpose, we selected the selected strain was subjected to inorganic carbon treatment in form of bicarbonate, as it is known to alleviate stress during starvation and enhance kerotenogenesis. Later, for the second stage, based on growth profile and canthaxanthin content, the specific bicarbonate content was selected for second stage cultivation subjected to nutritional deprivation. So initially, biomass was increased by Bg11 medium supplemented with bicarbonate, and the selected bicarbonate concentration from control condition, which gave better growth, was then subjected further to nutritional starvation conditions combined with bicarbonate supplementation to enhance carotenoid content. The carotenoid profile was then studied by using HPLC, biochemical HPLC, and biochemical estimation was done using standard spectrophotometric methods such as biuret, phenol sulfuric acid, and phosphovanillin assay. It was found that 100 millimolar concentration of bicarbonate supplementation in Bg11 media gave better growth, and thus 100 millimolar bicarbonate supplementation in Bg11 media was selected for ketocarotenoid enhancement for the second stage. After growing for 9 days in the selected bicarbonate concentration, the cells were then subjected to nitrogen-starved Bg11 media to enhance the ketocarotenoid content. Bicarbonate supplementation accumulated higher biomass as compared to control conditions on the 9th day. However, upon media replenishment with nitrogen positive media and nitrogen starved media, we found that biomass decreased in N- condition as compared to the control due to stress. Then ketocarotenoids are well known to accumulate under stress conditions. Although growth was better in 100 millimolar concentration, the ketocarotenoid content was more or less similar. However, upon media replenishment, with the inoculation of higher cell mass in nitrogen-starved condition, the ketocarotenoid content also increased. We found that canthaxanthin increased considerably in both the stages, be it the first stage where only bicarbonate supplementation was done, or the second stage where nitrogen starvation was also done in the algal culture medium. It was found that beta carotene, the precursor of canthaxanthin, increased in the first stage with bicarbonate supplementation, but it decreased once nitrogen starvation was given. This shows that beta carotene, while it increased in stage 1, it got converted into canthaxanthin in stage 2. Thus, it could be hypothesized that beta carotene gets converted into canthaxanthin in these conditions. Overall, canthaxanthin was an HVB which was produced alongside lipid in bicarbonate supplemented condition and nitrogen starved condition, wherein protein content decreases drastically, yet the biofuel components, carbohydrates and lipids increased in bicarbonate supplemented and nitrogen starvation. In conclusion, a two-stage media methodology improved the canthaxanthin content by 4.36-fold, which led to a 2.55-fold increased canthaxanthin productivity. Thus, such methodology could be used for simultaneous production of canthaxanthin and lipids for biofuel and improving the microalgal bioeconomics. Here is a screenshot of the paper which I have presented. And finally, I would like to thank ISEET for providing the platform for presenting this paper, and my PI, Dr. Pannaga Pavanjutur, for his guidance and technical support as well as my team members, Dr. Chetan Kamal and rest of the team for contribution in this work. And finally, I'd like to thank Department of Biotechnology under Ministry of Science and Technology, India, for providing the funding for this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaid. It was a great presentation and good work and a great research which you're carrying out for, with respect to your postdoc. Thank you for your wonderful work.